Hello, welcome. We are here to talk about things that really annoy us. The title of this episode is called Rants. So go on ahead. Hey, Jason. Hey, Myron.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hey there, everyone.
And we're going to use our voice on the internet to rant about something to people who are probably not going to hear it, but we'll reference it for future usage. So what's going on? Fourth quarter of this
You know what really grinds my gears
year. What?
is the death of physical media and and it's slowly disappearing. I think I sent you guys an article that Best Buy is no longer going to be carrying physical uh, Blu-rays and movies and in their stores any longer. Um, I know for most that might not matter just because we're such in a world and an environment of streaming. But at least for me, there's stuff that isn't on streaming, like old shows that are lost that, you know, they might not be able to get due to licensing or something, or nobody really cares about. Like, for instance, like, the Super Mario Brothers and Zelda cartoons, like, are those floating on any streaming service at the moment? Yeah. And I'm going to be yelling, just,
At
just like grandpa.
at the cloud, though.
Yeah, yeah, like where's my movies, where's my cartoons? And so I personally have like an extensive DVD Blu-ray collection just throughout the years. I mean, there might be times where finances get lean, where I have to cut off streaming services to save money, and it's like, how am I going to get entertained? Like, I can watch television, basic cable from the antenna, or I can just pop in one of my classic movies or classic shows and stream. But the fact of the matter is like having a physical library of your favorite shows and movies. You can always go back and watch and enjoy it, and not have to rely on subscribing to this service in order to watch this type of content, or when they raise prices and you're dissatisfied that there's not enough content on here for me to keep paying. You have your own curated collection to be able to just pop in and watch at any time. So I'm a little disappointed that sales have kind of gone down throughout the years. Like, I'm looking at my Simpsons collection right now, and I have seasons 1 through 20, but we're well into season 34 now, and because the money's not there to the money's not there to warrant releasing the other seasons, because you can watch all that on Disney Plus. Like, I don't think they'll ever want to release those remaining seasons on DVD. And so, as I was telling you guys before we started recording, I started collecting certain seasons and certain shows, like, while they're still available. Like, I just bought Pinky and the Brain, the complete series, Animaniacs, and Adventure Time. And so I know those are probably like, Adventure Time being probably a more recent release, but still one of my favorite shows. And as of now, I think you can only stream the entire series on Max, but I just canceled Max because I resubscribed to Netflix, and I don't want to keep stacking up $15-16 subscriptions on services I'm not currently watching at the moment. So I got my fill from Max and jumped back into Netflix, but there's still some stuff on Max that I'm like, man, I don't want to cancel right now, because I really want to watch Fiona and Cake, and the classic Looney Tunes they have on there. But I have some of those on DVD, the Looney Tunes and now Adventure Time, and some of that Cartoon Network material, to where I can kind of just sacrifice that streaming service and watch it on my watch it from my DVD collection when I want to. So it's just disheartening. The other day when I went to Target, just seeing even the video game selections, just like seeing those shelves kind of dwindle, and their DVD, like their movie collection, is just one shelf with primarily more newer releases like Barbie and other newer films that recently came out on DVD. But Other than that, there's no back catalog there. So it just shows that the times are changing, and it's just weird to me, you know.
I do not support the move. I might have said things like that before. I do like streaming, but I like having the choice of owning some physical media, and I get it.
Right.
We're all in the cloud. We all have all these digital downloads. I also don't like the control it exacts upon, somebody, or corporation, and we've seen this before. We've seen things that are like streaming services go belly up or just die. And like, oh yeah, prime example here is Ultraviolet.
Right. And I will admit that I do have an extensive collection of digital movies that I purchased from Vudu or Movies Anywhere, or even redeemed through Ultraviolet at the time. And there has been that fear and that skepticism in the sense of like, okay, what if it goes away? Am I going to lose that content and thus losing all that money? I think after Ultraviolet went belly up and Movies Anywhere kind of took the mantle, where it's like, yeah, you can tie in your subscriptions, other subscriptions into the service, and it'll all sync up, so that way, your content is tied across all those platforms, and thus you won't necessarily lose anything. However, I think Paramount's a studio that's not playing ball with the whole Movies Anywhere, cross-platform thing. So it's like my content of Paramount films on Vudu is only tied to Vudu. And so if Vudu were to ever go away, would I lose all that Paramount content, or would they actually try to do something where it's like, yeah, sync before we go offline, log into another service and we'll sync your library up with that. But that type of stuff gets sticky because you don't necessarily own the film. You're just renting a license, so to speak.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I think that, Best Buy, I think Walmart may be also going here, at least in terms of video games, right? So I think I read an article that said that Walmart is probably going to be dropping Xbox video games, and by the end of the year. So end of this calendar year, end of 2023, that's it. Like they won't. Now it looks like Amazon's still selling, physical media, but it's a bit tough, because when you have, and to say that Best Buy is some kind of big retailer, I mean, they are a big retailer, but I think of them as dropping media a long time ago. Like, I don't remember the last time I bought media, games or DVD or anything from Best Buy. It's been a while.
I bought a router at one of their stores last year, and that was the first time I set foot in a Best Buy in God knows how long.
Yeah, and so and they've closed stores. They've closed a store near me. If I want to buy something from Best Buy, right? Ironically. So yeah, and now it's like, I did like that choice, but I remember back in the, so since I'm an old man, I'm totally capable of saying this, right? I remember when they were like, they pushed all the compact discs into the back of the store.
Yeah.
I remember that day. And I was like, oh, what are they doing? Like, why? Okay. And then it shrank, and nope. And then they got rid of it. Now it's like DVDs and Blu-rays and video games. It's like just gone. Yeah. And I think I took a screenshot. I took a picture. It's not a screenshot. We live in a modern world. So I took a picture and I sent it to you guys, several months back, of like Target and their video game section. And it's just like, it's pathetic. There's nothing there.
Nothing.
And that's what my Target, in Canyon Springs, that's what it looks like now.
Yeah. Sad but true.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I know you guys say like you haven't shopped at Best Buy in a while. Like, for me, like there was always some type of like experience going to Best Buy. Like I still shop there regularly, and I think the last movie I bought from them was Across the Spider Verse, like the Steelbook edition. Um, I ordered that and went to pick it up there. I still buy things through the Best Buy app and then go pick it up at the store physically. Like I just bought last week, what was it, Detective Pikachu. I bought a physical copy of that. Um, you know, I it's a double-edged sword where like when it comes to gaming, I have been buying more digitally this generation because I almost feel like there's no point in buying a physical disc because, as we discussed before, there's nothing as special as it used to be where it's like, oh, I want that, I want to get this game physical. They have the instruction manual that has that beautiful artwork and backstory to the game. And it was part of the overall experience of ripping open the package, looking at the artwork and manual just to kind of hype you up, popping in that disc and heading to town playing. But now if you buy a physical disc for Xbox Series X or PS5, you're installing the full-blown game anyway. And at this point, I'm like, I might as well have just downloaded it and have it, on my system than having to get up to, get a disc for DRM purposes that, yeah, you have a copy of this, you can play it. So I did buy recently Spider-Man 2, the collector's edition for the Venom statue, and it came with a limited edition disc case, but didn't come with a disc. It comes with the code for the game. So you're just getting that limited edition tin for display purposes. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I guess that's cool, but then there's no functional purpose because I don't have the disc of the game. I just wanted more of the statue. But I think this day and age, I mostly buy digital for consoles too, and then for Switch, I buy physical here and there, more so to conserve space because Nintendo still does it where if you have the physical game, it'll download smaller game data, but then the bulk of it, I'm not installing on my SD card. I'm playing off the cartridge, so I still see like a purpose there where it's like, yeah, I'm trying to conserve space on my 1 terabyte because I'm starting to run out a little bit, and so it's to help alleviate games I want on the system at the ready to play at my beck and call. So
yeah, but yeah, my problem is the availability now drops, and it's sort of like I'm not going to call it lost media because that's usually something reserved for like, hey, there's no copies of it left and no one can find it and reproduce it and blah blah blah. But this is more like it's like, okay, it's worse than that damn Disney vault. Like where it's like, okay, we're gonna open up the vault, like whatever that bullshit term was. So I mean, it's sort of like, oh well, the prime example here, and this is great. The 3DS, let's talk about this. So the 3DS, they closed the eShop, which affected the Wii U and it affected the 3DS. And there are games in there that it's like, okay, now the company gets to sit on this catalog, and unless you pirate it, if you didn't already buy it, you can't play those games. That is the kind of control, and that's kind of that's an example of how this can be kind of levied against people. It's like, okay, or maybe levied against, let's say it's levied against certain types of creators as well. It's like, hey, I created this game, put my blood, sweat, and tears in it. Now it's gone. It's just vaporware now. Some people have it, and so that it causes people to resort to pirating, which that's something that could happen here. After all, we've been encouraging people to buy the media forever. And now, and by the way, I'll just say this. Hollywood has always had, or not say Hollywood and its lawyers have always had a problem with physical media of any kind. So it's kind of it's a thing that has existed for a long time. I mean, the VHS and the Betamax, not saying the war between them, but like the grief it caused them was like, oh yeah, you can't be doing that. And now like this just feels like especially when it comes to movies and things like that, this becomes a real pointed issue, you know. So it's like, okay, well, now you have control of it, and if something happens to you and it vanishes forever, well, we lost all of our investments in that, you know. You just pocketed it and walked away with it because you didn't care. Or the people that are, let's say the company is around for a long time, the people no longer care because like who's invested in keeping that, right? So you know, in other words, of what value is it to the company to make something available even if you spent lots of money on it? And I think that the example you just gave, Myron, of the, you know, it's like the collector's edition just had the code for download. It's sort of like, wow, well, why don't you just release a box with the statue in it and sell it at, like, you know, the bookstore or something? Because
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's pretty much the same thing, right?
Exactly. Because I mean, it's like so if I didn't get this statue, I probably would have just bought the game directly off the digital storefront anyway, because it's just, you know, installed right on the console. I can boot it up and play it anytime without having to get up and put in a disc. You know, that's partial laziness. But you know, like as a Spider-Man fan, it's like, oh, dude, I have to get that statue. And you know, looking at the contents, it's like, yeah, all right, it comes with the digital code anyway. I was gonna buy digital code, you know, I was gonna buy digital regardless. But then like I saw it came with the steel bookcase, and I'm like, that is pretty and that's awesome to have on the shelf, but for what? Like there's not going to be anything in it. Actually, I take that back. The slip of paper with the code that I already used and is currently useless is in that case. And so yeah, I got it in my DVD shelf, but I'm probably going to pack it up in the box and pack the box away. But the statue is sick, and I kind of wish, you know, they might have sold it separately itself. Could have just been, you know, 150 right there. But either way, I'm satisfied with the purchase. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy right now to think too, because I know from our past conversations, you know, over the past, I would say, year and a half, 2 years, like we've been talking to each other about like some of these anime Blu-rays I picked up. Like, oh yeah, you know, I'm picking up all the Gundam series because Lord knows like that's gonna go away. Or oh, Pat Labor just came out, I'm buying that before that disappears. And so, you know, now I feel like there's this FOMO with some of us older movie heads and collectors, to where like I got to scoop up everything I like now before it's gone, because there'll be no more reprints, you know, or you know, reissues or anything like that. So I mean, of everyone in this group, how many of you own Dogma on DVD?
I do.
I do.
You know, you can't watch that anywhere unless you
Nope.
have the DVD.
All thanks to Harvey Weinstein.
Yep. And so that DVD is going for quite a bit of money if you look on eBay right now. And so, but that's one of my favorite Kevin Smith movies, and such a hilarious movie that there's going to be a generation of people who might have became Kevin Smith fans due to like Clerks 3 or Jay and Silent Bob, you know, Returns or whatever, like that. Oh, I want to go back and watch his back catalog. And that's one of the movies that's trapped, you know, behind a wall. So it kind of sucks. And I think I told you guys last time we spoke, I recently picked up these in living color DVDs, like seasons 1 through 3, because like I think these were the original releases, and I never saw signs of, you know, any reprint. So it's like, yeah, I'm paying $30, $40 for like, you know, used season, and seasons 4 and 5 are, you know, getting a little bit pricier for, you know, from 80 to $100. But if I want to watch those, that's kind of my only option right now. So what I fear as a fan is like losing some of these classic shows due to licensing or due to some other, you know, maybe Me Too movement, and like, you know, you lose a piece of you lose a piece of history. And so that's why with a lot of these shows like Married with Children, and you know, I'm looking to pick up the Cheers complete collection. Like, you know, I'm trying to pick up some of these series now while they're available and semi affordable, before like, you know, yeah, the industry decides to stop making physical media, period, and they become rare and more, highly valuable.
I'll give you a real pertinent example. And one of the things that kind of upsets me right now is the whole Right Stuff um, anime being purchased out. And the reason why is because I don't see it necessarily as a good move. I think that having who bought them, Jason?
Crunchyroll.
Crunchyroll. Okay, so
Oh.
Crunchyroll, a service that started as a strictly streaming service, bought what did they buy? They bought a DVD and media distribution company. I have problems with this, and I don't think I'm the only one that does. And let me give you a real pertinent example of this, at least related to the anime field. So several years back, I really wanted a nice set, a collection, and because I didn't have them before, of Satoshi Kon's works. Okay, all of his movies, and guess what? They didn't have them.
Yeah.
They were out of print
Mm-hmm.
because I don't. Do you remember who licensed those? Like who had the distribution rights on the DVDs?
It's like a lot of different companies initially.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they fell by the wayside. The only one I had was that was on Blu-ray was Paprika.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, where's my Tokyo Godfathers? Where's my Perfect Blue? Where are these things which I consider works of art? Okay. I consider them works of art. Where are they? No, now they're getting re-released as Blu-rays. Okay. So I did wind up picking them up. But there was a whole section in there where it's like you couldn't get it. It was unavailable. Why? Because some company decided that they weren't going to that was lost in this or lost in that. So it's now inaccessible. And these things to me it's like you might, imagine if you did that with like Miyazaki's stuff, which by the way, you're going to have to set the record straight on the media section for this, Jason, because I think that you might know a little bit more about this. I mean, like Disney had rights to distribute the physical media for these, and then it went to G Kids. Do you know why?
I imagine it's just because Disney just wasn't interested anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So wait a second. So they're not interested. They're like, oh yeah, screw it.
Which I guess if we're being honest, it's probably for the best that G Kids took over, because I'm sure that they are probably like a lot more passionate about this kind of stuff as opposed to Disney, which they thought, hey, biggest Japanese filmmaker making the biggest animes, we can make some money off this, and we didn't. Oh well, let's just go back to focusing on what we do. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, like G Kids and Miyazaki seem to be like a pretty solid match right there, and for that matter, Ghibli and Max as well, because apparently they said, as I understand it, like when Ghibli gave sold the rights to streaming to Max, that's basically how they were able to finance The Boy and the Heron.
Yeah, but here's the problem. My problem with it is that until they don't find it convenient anymore,
right?
To have that kind of decision in the hands of a multi-billion dollar corporation just seems a little wrong to me. Like, okay, so we're now restricting access to these things. Yeah, it feels weird. My 2 cents.
I don't really. I get that it sucks, but at the same time, I mean, really, like restricting access, because all they did was just say, no, we don't want to license this anymore. It's not like this isn't like a Harmony Gold type situation.
Well, no, but how is someone supposed to watch it if it's not available outside of streaming? Let's say Max goes, screw it.
Yeah, it's like I realize I'm being kind of pedantic about this, but yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but it's just like the whole restricting access thing.
Well, like, okay, so maybe restricting access. Let me rephrase this. It's not accessible. It's not easily accessible unless you pirate it. Is that the kind of message we want to send?
Yeah, that's something I can get behind.
Is that something that we want to do to the creators? The artists and everyone who put their blood, sweat, and tears into it because they just wanted to produce a work of art, and we're saying like, yeah, no one wants to license the shit anymore, so fuck it. That's my biggest problem right there. It's like, oh, okay. But that's okay. We have My Hero Academia. You guys can just watch that and just like get amped up on that shit. Go for it. Because that's what we want you to watch. We want you to watch that. We're going to merchandise the fuck out of it. And there we go. So, yeah. Meanwhile, the definitions of what, like I have to challenge people on that. It's like, oh yeah, I watch anime. I'm like, yeah. Remember I had a little discussion? I think we had we touched a little bit about it, and I'm not gatekeeping. Haha. Okay, so now I know what that means. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, well, this is better than that, but I'm just saying that it's like I believe that, like a library media should be accessible to all, right? It's like if you have like paintings in a museum, you should make that available to all. There shouldn't be restriction, or there shouldn't be like you can't have that. So anyway, that's just a little rant of mine.
It belongs in a museum.
Well said, sir.
Yes. So unless we're supporting that, I mean, hey, more power to them, right?
Well, it means like if no one wants to license it, then technically, I guess we're not actually causing them to lose money if we pirate it, right? I mean, I guess like the real problem start is like, what if you can't pirate it and it's not available anywhere? Nope. That's the scary situation.
So back to the DS, the 3DS. It's sort of like, all right, yeah. Are you encouraging the pirating of it? Well, all right. Are those people that created those games making money on it? No. Were they making money? Okay, so one could potentially argue, well, no one was buying it anyway, therefore. But I think that that's kind of a bad argument, logically speaking.
Because look at Nintendo from their history and certain games being trapped on certain consoles. So you're looking at the 3DS right now, and with Super Mario Brothers Wonder, that just came out. You might have some fans that are like, oh, I kind of want to play all the new Super Mario Brothers again. And so, like, if you're looking for new Super Mario Brothers 2, or you're looking for like, the Smash Brothers or something like that, yeah, your only option now is to hack your 3DS and get those games by those means that are trapped on that console.
Oh, hey, Jason, I just had this thought going through my head. Do you remember in the early days of fan subbing for anime?
Yeah.
Do you
remember those days?
Yeah, you do. So do I. But do you remember what some fan subbers would put at the beginning of their they would sometimes they would throw
not for resale, by fans for fans,
right? But they would also say something else, and you probably remember the phrase, for educational
use only.
Yes, exactly. For educational use only. And every time I looked at that, I said, like, okay, I can get behind that.
That's CYA phrasing at its finest.
Yes, it is. What we're trying to do is to raise awareness of this. I mean, shit, they played like anime on
this copy of Legend of the Overfiend is only for educational purposes.
That's right.
What purposes are you trying to educate yourself for? Please don't tell us.
Making media available. So maybe that should we do for video games, right? Anyway, maybe someday in the future, right? Like they'll find this recording on the internet in some dusty corner of us three talking about this, and they're gonna like, yeah, let's start a revolution. Anyway, just kidding.
I want my Pokemon.
Yeah, that's right. No, yeah, I think that what happens is it's not censorship, it's just unavailability. But we've also found out that, and I'm going to give you another example. If things aren't available as a piece of media, like they're not made available by the primary owners of that content, that people do find a way. And the despecialized edition of Star Wars is a perfect example of this. Like somebody took they found between the different copies that were out there, either on film or everything else, and they created this thing something you can't really buy. No, you can't buy it. You cannot buy the original theatrical cut of what was called Star Wars in 1977. You cannot buy that. And you definitely can't. Well, you can buy. I think that they had like the shitty version that was on the re-release DVDs, and I know maybe you even have it, Myron.
I have them still. Yep.
Yeah, I mean I think they lifted a little bit of stuff from that, but they also found people like in other countries that had whole film reels, like, and they would run that through what they call a telecine machine. And since it's film, they were able to like scan it, and it's a certain grain, and they're able to remaster it the best they could, and they were able to reconstruct that, right? Why? Because George Lucas, and maybe this is maybe not even in his hands anymore. Maybe he put it as a clause in there. It's like, yeah, don't ever let that thing ever get released. You know that the Library of Congress, this is what I understand. Library of Congress does not even have a copy of that.
Ouch.
No.
They don't. And they have asked for it. So it is as a groundbreaking piece of work, and they haven't had it. And this has been well documented. You can look it up. They don't have it. So that, but they do have the remastered versions. You can get those, but they won't take them. The Library of Congress will not take those because it has to be the original work, right? So anyway, interesting factoid.
Plus, nobody wants to see that, that song scene in the beginning of Return of the Jedi.
Oh man, yeah, you know what? And I'll have to say that after watching the despecialized edition, I watched it all the way through, and I was like, you know what? It's cool. And you know what? There's something to be said about special effects, like the old way of doing things without a computer, right? It's like watching anime that's and this sounds just as bad and just as old, but it's like watching anime that was hand drawn and painted cells. Like it's like like, where are we going with this, guys? Like, my kids are starting to go like, anime doesn't look like that anymore, but it still looks really cool. I'm like, I get it. It's all computer colored and things like that, and things are drawn, but
Oh man, actually, we watched a good example of some old school stuff a couple weeks ago, called Goku Midnight Eye.
Oh, okay.
This is a 2-episode OVA series, made by Studio Madhouse and directed by Yoshiaki Kawajiri, who, if you don't may recognize Madhouse, if you don't recognize Kawajiri, he's the guy who gave us, among others, like famous anime series or movies specifically, Wicked City, Ninja Scroll, Vampire Hunter D, Bloodlust, and this two episode OVA, it's every bit as violent and like violent and sexy as you'd expect from these guys, and it just came out back at the end of the 80s, I think back in 89 actually, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's about this guy who, like, private investigator in the future, used to be a former cop, gets involved in this one case. It goes badly for him. He winds up getting this eye that can hack into any computer on the planet.
Oh yeah.
And it's like infinitely extending pole as well. It's like, it's just really very silly, but it's done with so much style. It's like, and a sense of fun. Like, you can tell that these guys weren't taking themselves seriously. It was a lot of fun, and it's also something you can look at and go, wow, yeah, this is definitely made by hand, made by people who have a very specific mindset, some very specific tastes, even though they were adapting a manga by the late Buchi Terasawa, which is how this thing came to my attention. So, but just wanted to throw that in there just for the record, we watched this off of Crunchyroll because good luck finding a copy of that on DVD these days.
Yeah. There's probably somebody that has a copy of it. Let's say maybe even off of Crunchyroll. Yeah. Maybe they set up a little camcorder in front of that. What's a camcorder anyway? So yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I don't even want to go into the whole Macross Do You Remember Love shit. So that's we've tread that water plenty of times on this
Oh,
podcast.
wait, forget I said that. You can buy Goku Midnight Eye on Blu-ray right now for $30
Oh, freaking fantastic!
Oh, nice, on Amazon.
on Amazon. Oh, and also you can buy it on you can buy it on DVD. Oh no, just Blu-ray for $30.
Yeah, there are some series I want to get on, anime series I want to get. I did notice they're on Amazon. Hopefully, I'm gonna have to. I've been building up my list of this, and I think that Super Dimension Century Orgus thing is one of the things on my list.
Mhm.
Yeah, because it's amazing, not necessarily, but because it's more of a completist. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that one. Um, so yeah. Uh, hmm.
Yeah, we're gonna start seeing where Blu-ray and DVD releases are going to become like a niche collector's market. I mean, we've already saw that with like
I think we're
C.
pretty much already there, man.
Yeah, you're totally right. I think we'll totally be there completely because now, like basically, with the whole Best Buy not stocking Blu-rays or DVDs anymore. I'm thinking about the last Spider-Verse movie. Like, okay, I want to complete my set, like, and I think I have the steel books for both of them. So it's like, all right, that third movie, once that comes out, like Best Buy always had the exclusive like steel book case for those films. Like, hopefully Amazon will get it. But moving forward, it's like, is the studio going to find value in wanting to publish these movies on Blu-ray moving forward? Like maybe depending on how well it sells or how well it does in the theater. Like, yeah, this movie made blah blah blah, amount of dollars. Like, we'll go ahead and release the Blu-ray home video release because I know we'll make more then. The Super Mario Brothers movie. Like, I bought the Walmart special edition with the star tin, and love that movie to death. But moving forward, are we going to get things like that from a special collectors case by case basis? And with that, they're going to be limited prints. So you're going to be starting to see like scalpers, like, buy them in bulk and resell them for double the profits, just like with video games. So it's a sad state to think about.
Yeah, I was. Let's see here. I think this is it. Yeah. So what's really weird? I'm pointing out this series in particular, but I think that maybe Jason, you have some.
Yep.
Did you know that there is a season 2 for this series?
I'm not sure if it's like if we're talking about like, 'cause I know like it ran for like for a number of episodes, and it could just be that like they're just that season 2 is just basically episodes like 27 through da da da.
Yeah, I'm
So
gonna say no. Because when I ran into this, um, the first one is all of that, but the second one is
so how many episodes is on this? I mean,
uh
is on season 1.
let me check. Hold on. Let's find out. Okay, so 51 second season episodes. So is that right? There's
That
51 here. And
okay?
then let's go back to this one. Oh yeah, we're already in it. So I went back. Another 51. So that's 102. Did you know there's 102 episodes of this show?
Doesn't surprise me. I know this series ran for a while.
Yeah, but I didn't know that there was a second. I knew that they had previewed it at the end of the first series, and then the second series, I was like, they came out with the second series. So yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise for me. Here's another one that's class. I suppose this is so weird. Anyway, this series is weird. But yeah, so here's another one.
Yeah, it's like pioneered the term love dodecahedron.
Yeah. I love the way you put that. It's fantastic. But then, there are other things out here, that might be people might be interested in getting. Look at, is there a Blu-ray for this?
I thought so.
Okay, maybe
Huh.
here. Okay, so hold on. We've got to find out. This is some important shit here because you're talking about the end of physical media. Now I know it's streaming. Hell, I know it's streaming. Let's see here. Let's try this. Blu-ray. Let's see here. Maybe, hopefully, I'm wrong.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
seeing
Oh,
it.
and John.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Online News Network does have Kodocha is lasting for 102 episodes, running from April of '96 through March of 1998. Which it's like it's you would say it's like it's two seasons, but it just sounds like after like it just sounds like they just kept going like continuously for that period.
Oh, yeah. I understood that piece. By the way, I'm not seeing that the Blue Docs has ever been released on Blu-ray.
Huh.
At least here, it's that to me is a little... So but it is available on Prime Video. Okay, so part of but you can buy the DVDs, even used from around $55. But okay, so hey, just pointing that out. So, and I know I have this. I know I have Futurama season.
Yeah.
8, but there's more than this.
Yeah, there's crap.
And to call it the complete series is kind of a misnomer now.
Yeah, it was complete then at that time, but then it got resurrected again, and I think they're on season 11 now.
Yeah. Yep. So again, who wants to collect this on DVD, huh? One Piece Collection 30. You should just stream series like that. Oh, hey, here's a gem. It's called Razafon.
Yeah, something I watched back in the day when we could afford like marathons, the stuff we didn't even like.
Why? Because it was available to marathon. So anyway, but there are other there are other Blu-rays, that are being released of older series. I'm not saying this is one of them that I've ever even seen before, but I think that's fine. That's cool. Princess Tutu. Yeah, so anyway, so at least there's a Blu-ray for that. Get it while you can. It's $27.50 for what? The entire series? Yeah, I think so. I don't know if this is a lot. This is like 10 hours the whole thing, wasn't it?
I don't know. It's like probably want to scroll down a little bit more.
Yeah, let's go down here. And it says 1 through 26, but I do not remember if that's the entire series. I want to say it is, but
I think you're right. I mean, I think like that one season was all they made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So,
yes, elf stripping for fun and profit,
that's
or essentially a way to get our heroes back home.
Yep. It's been a long time since I've seen this thing. But that's cool. They have the Blu-ray for $27.80. Go out and get it. This is not an advertisement. If you want to watch it, then watch it. Go for it. Yeah, fun. I'm just clicking around. Anyway, there's Nadeshko, Martian successor, Nadeshko, the complete collection. You have it for $42. So yeah, there's stuff that's out there. By the way, I do have this on Blu-ray, so I'm very happy with that. It's very good looking too. So the original.
High definition Disctopia.
Yeah.
I see what you did there, Discotech.
They're trying. They're trying. Now I don't know about things like this though. Is this available? Is this a Blu-ray? No.
Damn, that is an 80s ass cover right there.
Yeah,
and I love it for it.
You know it is. So
Totally rad.
But yeah, fortunately, like I was saying before, this is now available on Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
And with an English dub too.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was something interesting. I was like, oh, it has an English dub. I was like, that's new.
I remember like some of the reasoning they gave for why Colin's work didn't have like dubs beforehand was the basic thing. You want to preserve the integrity of the its Japanese language, like just preserve the integrity of the experience. Which on one hand, yeah, I get what you're saying right there, but it's also kind of code for it's like, it'd be really expensive to produce, and we're not even sure if it would make a difference. I mean, there's a reason that only the first Yakuza or Like a Dragon game had a dub, and then none of them had them up until this most recent one, the Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Yep. Yeah, William actress. All right. Anyway, so there's the stuff, and you can get it on Prime Video. Yeah. So anyway, if you don't have it, go get it. You know where to get it. All the stuff. Ghost in the Shell. Which one is this? Oh, this is
The special edition, 4K special edition.
This is Blu-ray 4K special edition. Contributor, Manga Entertainment, all these people. Okay. And look, it's literally the best freaking anime movie ever produced. It's multi-format. This is great. I want this. I don't have this, by the way. So
for $13, really. It's like,
yeah, right. Go get it.
Also, kind of telling, just this is how successful it is to the point where Amazon can sell it for like $13.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Or you can get it on VHS for like $35.
Wait. Let's go back to that. Yeah, VHS tape, $34. Wow. Plus shipping and handling, I'm sure. $34, just in case you need it. But no, I think that the multi-format would do. They do have a 4K for 18, though. Yeah. I don't know what 4K would lend to this movie. I'm not entirely sure. 4K anime, is that might be a good thing? I don't know. Hey, y'all, Johnny Young Bosch is actually one of the dub voice actors on it. So
yeah, well, I mean, it's like worth mentioning that Cam Clark was the original voice of Kaneda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whoa, what happened? There we go. So this was Ghost in the Shell. So Blu-ray plus digital. Holy cow! 4K Blu-ray and digital copy. Dude, just run out and get it. And 88, like that cost, you should buy one for everyone on your Christmas list. Yeah, all this too. Is this it? So the complete collection of Second Gig and the standalone complex season 1. Yeah, those aren't bad prices either. So anyway,
yeah, I've already got those and the movies on DVD.
Yeah, got you there. Cool. Anyway, so I'm just going to stop going down shopping trip lane here. But yeah, see, so go get the media. As for the video games, that's probably a little bit more touch and go situations depending on where you're at, right? So,
yeah, I mean, video. No, I'm not saying video games or whatever. I think I'm adapting a little bit more to that on the digital front than I am with the movies. But at the same time, though, too, like a lot of historic games are kind of getting lost too. I mean, I recently picked up, even though I have it by other means, I wanted it for my physical collection. Chrono Trigger for the DS. That's always kind of been touted as one of the top versions, to play. Has the anime cutscenes and everything. So, I think I paid $90 for that game, but love it. I wanted to have it part of my collection. But then anywhere else, I think, you have what iOS you can play it on. I don't know of any other format or any other console that it's on right now except for iOS that's readily available. But still, there's a lot of games on
PC and Steam, but that's a port of the iOS version, which I understand has been they've been a valiant effort to patch things up to how you remember it. But even then, I'm still not entirely sure if it's it's actually good after all these years.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and so and there's still games on GameCube too that are kind of tied to that system, like Metal Gear Solid and the Twin Snakes and the Star Fox game. So I mean that's where I feel like it's important for these games to be preserved in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's re-releasing for modern consoles or putting it up on a digital storefront like the eShop or something. But at least for myself, I made it like a personal mission personal collection to, stock up on some of these games, throughout my, collector's life to make sure like I have them. Eventually I'll go back, sometime in my lifetime and play some of these, especially during retirement, because I do love Star Fox Adventures and Star Fox Assault on GameCube, and never had a chance to beat them. And one of these days I will. But yeah, with some of these films, I was watching whatchamacallit. I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen this movie, but with Halloween time, I've been watching a lot of scary movies. There's a movie called Invaders from Mars, like the '86 version. Um, that I used to watch as a kid. And I remember as a kid, it used to scare the crap out of me because the aliens would pull you down into the sand and, brainwash you or whatever. And I watched it on Amazon Prime, and I'm like, you know what? This movie is like way better than what I remember it and gave it credit for. And I was looking just for shits and giggles to see if it was on DVD or Blu-ray anywhere. And it had been printed. It's currently out of print, but it's going for like 70 to $100 I've seen, on eBay. And so, it's on Amazon Prime now, but will it be up there forever, or will it be one of those that rotate out? We lost the license or whatever, and then I miss out. So that's kind of my concern with some of these movies, is that, they'll get lost in time, due to licensing or whatever other legal issue, and people wouldn't be able to enjoy them, including myself. Like that's why I kind of pick up things that I like, as you were doing, John, doing a little grocery shopping list. I make sure I add it to my Amazon favorites, like, okay, this is going to be on the pickup list at some point. So
Yep, there's a lot out there, but just a little bite at a time, right? Just get the little, piece by piece, and build my collection. What I've been doing is I do have some of them on DVD. I did find value in getting them and re-released in Blu-ray, because the media is a little bit like Blu-ray is a little bit more durable in terms of things. So and don't invest in. Oh, one thing this old man has to say: don't invest in like that laser disc. Just don't do it. It's a horrible. Like, I know that if some of you are anime fans out there, you're like, oh, but the old good stuff was on Laserdisc. Like, don't do it. Laserdisc actually has a fatal flaw in it, and it's called laser rot. And it was because of the way that they made the discs, and essentially, it's just gone. So fortunately, there have been people who have put things up that were on Laserdisc that were exclusive, like for instance the Daikon 4 animation intro. That actually was released on Laserdisc a long time ago, but it's been through countless iterations and remasters from the fan community, because it's kind of like it's almost an impossible piece of media to release nowadays, because of
that's putting it lightly.
Yeah, it's because of all of the copyrights that they would have to pay to do it. But it is freely available on YouTube, and I'm sure other sites. And I'm sure that some of there's someone with a vault that has some of these things. Well, I certainly, and I'm not shy about it, but I do have copies of things in my vault that I may have pulled, just so that I have them around, so that way, I can always show them, even if the media, even if the server itself dies. So that's why I'm more focused on, when it comes to movies, Blu-rays, TV series, whatever. It's like, hey, let me get my hands on it, even if it's a DVD. Like, let me get my hands on it. Sometimes the DVD's fine, right? Because I don't really need it to be like super high definition, as long as it doesn't look like shit, right? I can rip it and put it up on my NAS, and then I can just continuously move those, back them up, and then maybe put them on my own discs and move them around. And so just kind of keep them perpetual. They don't have to bury me with them, but I'll give them to my kids. I don't care, whatever. So, yeah. But yeah, it's important. I think it's important. So, anyway.
Yeah, and who knows? We might see we might see a cycle repeat itself in which over the past few years, vinyl has kind of made that resurgence, amongst younger generation and collectors wanting to kind of experience listening to music on that format. And I've even talked to somebody who collects VHSs that VHSs seem to be kind of on the rise within the collector market. So who knows? Like, this could come back around to where, yeah, there might be a slight popularity and a resurgence, but only time will tell. But I just hope that enough of us out there that still enjoys collecting physical media or watching, consuming our video games or movies through physical media, kind of keep that alive, I guess, in the secondary market, but not too harshly to where it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna charge $1,000 for this original print of Willow on DVD or something, so
Yeah. Like I said, there's always a will, there's always a way. Someone will, however, never, what's the word I'm looking for? Never assume someone's going to do it for you. I just recommend, find the values. You know what? And here's something that I've done lately, and I know a lot of collectors do. Is I go to places like Goodwill and Salvation Army. Believe it or not, you can find media there.
mm-hmm.
You can find it, and sometimes, or just go to here's another stock tip. I kind of got this one from my daughter. Go to estate sales. Estate sales are, people are just like getting rid of stuff, and sometimes they don't know what they're getting rid of. But I recommend that you use cash to do it with, because I think if you have too many transactions on PayPal, yeah, whatever. Cash is probably a good way to go when you go to those things. But I have found some really cool stuff. I actually found that little, like, it was like a DVD, no, not DVD. It's a CD changer, kind of like Sony thing, and I paid like $30 for it. It's like practically brand new.
Oh,
and
dope.
it had a it's got like really nice speakers. It's like one of those micro systems they had back in the mid aughts of 2000-ish.
Yeah, I used to have those.
Made by
Those,
Sony.
those were like in every college dorm. I used to have an Iowa 3-disc changer. I love those. I miss those things.
Oh yeah, and I bought it from this estate sale that was in my neighborhood. It was like, and I'm like, oh yeah, $30, and it had some like Christmas CDs in it, and I was like, okay, cool. So now I can throw my CDs in there, right? And it's like, well, why would you have a CD? You got your iPhone, and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what? There's something really satisfying about just throwing it on and not worrying about that crap. Like, it's not connected to Bluetooth. It's just got this, nice set of speakers. It's just playing music. Yeah, it can sit there and play my Charlie Brown Christmas special CD all winter long, whatever, or it can play Beastie Boys. It can play whatever I have on CD, play Metallica, damn it. So anyway, I do treasure my CDs. So, and I think that we shouldn't forget about that. Unfortunately, probably one of the first media formats that we should have been more concerned about is like compact discs themselves that contain music. Now I know it's so easy to get downloaded music, but there's something to be said about having a CD in your hands.
Yeah.
Music preservation. Although you can go to the library and you can get some of that stuff. So, but yeah, good stuff. Keep your discs, kiddies.
Yep. You never know what you might have and what you might have that's valuable that you might need to flip, for grocery money someday.
The one thing I have noticed, and I don't know, I assume that this is a true in your case, and so if we just switch back to the video game piece of this, we have a chain of stores in my area that all they do is deal in used video games. Hell, some of them are in old GameStops, and when you walk in there and it's wall-to-wall video games, you're like, this is the way GameStop used to look, So so used video games, huge market right now. Like,
Yeah.
What's ironic about it is that used to be GameStop's territory, and I mean, I think they still do it, but I don't remember the last time I was looking for used video games in a GameStop.
The irony is thick here.
Isn't it?
I know.
Isn't it though?
I haven't set foot in a GameStop in a long, long time, but I do know that they still sell used games for, this current generation. And to me, that's kind of like, I don't shop video games the way I shopped, back when, I was younger in my 20s and in college, like trade in to save money for this newer purchase. Like I buy games with intent, like, yeah, I'm going to buy this day one because I really want to play it. Or this other game, like I'll just wait for a sale and get it cheaper for like $30 or lower. But now I find myself in this retro kick in the sense of like, I still have a Dreamcast, I still have my PS2, I still have my PS3, Wii U. There's certain games for those older retro consoles that I have that I still want like a physical copy of. And so like, my options have been like scouring eBay. And then of course we do have a spot here in Riverside, and I know one in San Diego too called Book Off.
Oh yeah,
And,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Book Off has been like a kind of like a secondary spot where oh crap, like they have they have Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance, like that's too much, but still they have it there. If you
they carry PSP games and stuff. You're like, oh wow, PSP games? Like
yeah, I didn't realize it was a Japanese company. I'm just so blown away that they have Famicoms, they have Famicom games, Super Famicom, N64, like they have US and Japanese based games to where and not bad prices to where like, hey, like if I ever wanted to get in this side of the retro collecting, like it's there and they have a decent selection to kind of get you started. And so at least for me, my collecting right now has been with mostly GameCube and PS2 era games. And I pretty much picked up everything that I wanted. So I'm kind of like done and slowing down from that. Recently, I picked up a Tomy arcade-based game called Kingman. It was a Donkey Kong clone from 1982, one of those backlit, LED games, if you know what I'm talking about. And so I picked that up from some cat in Canada for $100, and that's a game I had, when I was a kid in Japan, and I grew up with that game up until I sold it at a flea market, back in '94. But I've always been on the chase for that ever since I saw it at E3 2015 at their little retro table museum. And I'm like, man, I used to have this game. I had so much fun, so many hours with it. And I was glad to be able to pick it up at a decent price. And so kind of like how you were, John, not too long ago. Now I'm kind of like looking at Game & Watches and trying to pick up some Game & Watches I have fond memories of.
Yeah. Retro gaming is definitely big, and I wound up, this is weird, but I was telling my son about Star Wars Rogue Leader
Mm-hmm.
on the GameCube. And I was like, yeah, his launch title on the GameCube. He's like, it was? And I was like, yeah, but I don't have that copy anymore. So I went on eBay. I think I got one for like $7.
Yep.
I was like, oh yeah, it's the title of it's like Rogue Squadron 2 because it was like a PC game before that.
Well,
it wasn't.
The first one.
Oh, what was the first one? Sorry, I know I played it on PC. By the way,
it came out on N64.
Okay, all right.
And you needed that RAM cart in order to play it.
Ah, okay.
That expansion cart.
Okay, yeah. I remember playing it on the PC, like Rogue Squadron. I remember playing that on the PC, and I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of similar, in a lot of ways. So, so what came first?
Let me see here. Squadron. So yeah, Rogue Squadron Come on, baby. Rogue Squadron came out in '98 for the N64, and I guess it did. Yeah, I guess it did come out on Windows as well. Um, yeah, it came out around the same time. It was December 3rd, '98 for Windows, and December 8th, '98 for N64.
Okay. All
And
right. So
so,
it had essentially a simultaneous release then.
mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. Yeah. And so yeah, I bought that. I bought Rogue League. I bought that for the GameCube for my son. He's like, oh yeah, hey. And then he was commenting on like, it's too bad, there's a couple of things he kind of complained about. I don't remember specifically what they were, but might have had to do with like how it saved. Game saves were a thing. It's a little different thing back then than they are now.
Yep.
Pausing, saving of the games. Anyway, so but good stuff, right? So, and I think that retro gaming is just huge now. At least I know there's conventions, there's people that do it, So anyway, and there's definitely a market for it. So,
Mm-hmm.
and it's probably going to happen if there is one. Like if you only release titles digitally, then it'd be a little difficult, right? So I guess we'll have to see what that market shapes up to in the future. It'll still be the same, I guess, but just for older titles.
Yeah, I mean, you're starting to see a lot of a lot of the market I feel is like obviously us, the OGs, wanting to kind of recapture, games from our glory days. But, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and stuff too, to where kids who grew up with the GameCube, now they're in the nostalgia feels. And so they're the new generation, trying to recapture games from their glory days from the GameCube, PS2 era. And pretty soon, like, you're going to start seeing that. And if not already, games from like this 360 and PS3 era. And I've been kind of doing that myself too. Like not too long ago, I bought, thank God the PS3 is not region locked. I picked up a Hajime no Ippo game for PS3. And then I think one of the Macross games you showed me, I was like, oh, dude, I have to get that game. And I picked that up as well. And so, there's some games that are, and I picked up Lollipop Chainsaw too, because I was like, oh, I didn't realize James Gunn, had a hand in that game. And I know they've been talking about, I guess, like remastering it for years, but it's like, yeah, before that time comes, like I want to get that game. So I bought like a Japanese version, still has, English voiceovers, like pretty cheap. I bought the Japanese version cheap. And so, yeah, just kind of like stocking my retro collection of games that I've enjoyed and would like to play again sometime in the future. And of course Dreamcast, there's some titles that are super expensive to where like I might not even fork over the cash on that, so I have other means to play those. But still, if I could find them at an affordable price, yeah, I'd love to get a clean physical copy of Code Veronica or Tech Romancer. The Dreamcast had like a lot of great games during its lifespan that are lost through time, or just stuck on that console.
I wound up buying one of those adapters for the GameCube to HDMI, and kind of like that was cool. I like doing that. So, and I think it's kind of necessary as well. So
not only is it necessary, but it brings up I would prefer, if I had the space, to get a CRT television and hook up like those generation of game consoles to that. But plugging it in via HDMI on a current flat screen TV, like it still looks good, and it's just as fun to play those. Like I was playing Def Jam Fight for New York, and then recently I picked up Simpsons Hit and Run, since the internet's been a buzz about like resurrecting Simpsons Hit and Run. And during that time, it's like, yeah, I haven't played a Simpsons game since like the Super Nintendo era, because like licensed game had have that reputation of being crappy. But Simpsons Hit and Run is fun. It's just a PG version of Grand Theft Auto.
It's just like a nice scenic through Springfield and Simpsons history as well.
Exactly, and it's fun, dude. Just to kind of like, oh yeah, like they got the locations down. Driving to the Quickie Mart or Springfield Elementary or whatever. So I was happy I picked that up, and that's another game where I guess the hype and the rarity. I found the complete edition for like I think I paid $70 for this one, and so like yeah, I mean these are games that came out and launched for $50, maybe $40, and now you're having to pay 70 plus due to its popularity, rarity, and overall hypeness within the secondary market community. So I like hitting up retro game stores when I come across them or find them, just to kind of see what they have and see what's what I'd like to pick up. I mean, there's certain handheld consoles like I would like to get again too, like a Neo Geo Pocket Color. I've always wanted a Wonder Swan Color, but there's only a certain price point I'm willing to pay for those things. But
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Those yeah, within reason, you're gonna pay more for like a Game Boy Micro nowadays in really good condition than maybe something that just run the cartridges, right? So
yeah, I was looking for that too because I've always wanted one, but yeah, Game Boy Micro, like cost of a Game Boy Micro is like, yeah, no, I'm not willing to pay that much for it.
yep, that's right. So just go get your Game and Watches. Like you can, up until a few months ago, I saw those either the Zelda or the Mario Game and Watches at either in Target or somewhere. And they're still like retail price, and I was like, okay, they didn't have tons of them. Maybe it was a fluke, but yeah.
And also, if I may ask, what is the actual point to owning a Game Boy Micro? I mean, aside from novelty.
Nothing more novelty. I mean, the fact that it actually like really slips in your pocket, and you could be at work and be like, all right, I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Yes. Now you
Okay.
now I have to go and confess my sins. I mean, I'm just kidding. I used to do that with my Game Boy Advance SP, but you know what? I'd rather have a micro because it's a hell of a lot more compact, So yeah, there you go. Because you know what? Sometimes you just want to play little games. That's it,
Exactly. Let me get a quick match in Puzzle Fighter, and then just like, all right, gotta go back to work.
Yeah. Just how you expand your mind a little bit. So
Mhm.
I think it's I like the design of the thing, I'll admit. And it was pretty cool. Does it offer much minus the portability? Not really. But it's fun. That's all I
Yeah.
can say about it.
Yeah, just like Jason said, kind of, there's a novelty behind it, like, something we enjoyed for many hours, like, the Game Boy Advance like got so much smaller throughout time to where they were able to create one the size of like a little Kit Kat, a fun size Kit Kat, and you could still play like Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories like on the go on this little Kit Kat size, console. But with the price on the secondary market, yeah, the novelty is not that like, desirable,
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. All right. Any final comments, y'all?
No, I just think we're getting old, and we're at that point now where we see the times are changing, and so it's natural that we kind of gripe about some of these things. I'm pretty sure, like, our parents thought 8-track was the hottest shit, and until cassette tapes came out, and they're like, man, you got to rewind, and this newfangled technology, and so I feel like we're at that point too, where it's like, yeah, streaming is convenient, and at our we have entertainment at the tip of our fingers, but there's a certain charm with DVDs, and having to look through your library almost like picking out a book and pulling out the sleeve and popping open the case to get that clean disc that you continually take care of, and popping it in the machine so you can watch to your heart's content. And then, of course, a lot of these DVDs had special features that if you were a fan of, you want to see the making of this animated movie, or how they create the special effects in the Matrix. Like, I feel like I know certain digital releases do feature commentary and special features, but not everything. And I think that's going to be another thing lost when transitioning from DVDs to like total digital content.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess like the moral of this podcast is, if you see something you want, get it now before it's gone.
Exactly. That's what I've been doing.
Yep.
Yeah. And also, I guess I just like to say that on one hand, yeah, it's always upsetting when something you like you've had your eye on, or it's desirable you like goes out of print that you're not able to get anymore. But I guess like the worst part is that there's usually like no way of knowing when that's going to happen. I mean, sometimes we'll get lucky and they'll announce like hey, Nintendo's shutting down like 3DS and Wii U stores, so like on this date. So it's kind of like, oh, get it now before it's gone. But so many other times it's just kind of like, oh yeah, this is being yanked like right now. So it's like you never had that chance, and you realize, wow, it's like it's gone now, and I may never have a chance to get it unless I just open my wallet or my digital account. So
Yeah, and I'd say, me being a Pikmin fan, I love the fact that they released Pikmin 1 and 2, for the Switch. And I was like, okay, at least I have this now. That's great. So I don't have to because I was like, and it looks decent on there, so they did a good job with it. So that's what I think that they should do, at least, for some of this, some of these titles to be preserved, just bring them back. People do want to watch, they want to play these games. And on the flip side of that, they do want to watch these things. Having them available, it's a good thing. All right, gents, thanks a lot, and everyone out there in internet land. We'll talk to you later.
Have a good weekend, kiddies.
not everyone.